Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Eddie with Game of Pennies, and the inevitable has happened, and some of my debt-free and financial investing programs have been called into question, which is a fabulous thing. It's actually something I expected before this. So it's great because it gives us a chance to kind of dial into my program, to kind of dial into how the program works, how it looks mathematically, how it compares to some of the other programs that are out there. And it kind of gives you some insight into how my mind works and what my goals are for you financially. And guys, I'm going to tell you, debt-free programs are kind of like diets, right? They're all good. And I want everybody to hear this, right? I don't want anybody to go away thinking, oh, you know, that Snowball program just isn't actually right. I won't say that. They're all good. Just like all diets are centered around health, nutrition, cardiovascular strength, longer life. The same thing goes for debt programs. They're all centered around getting you eventually debt-free, improving your net worth, improving your cash flow, letting you get to the point where you're financially independent. Now, my personal strategy is around getting you richest fastest. That's it. I want to make your net worth as high as possible, as quickly as possible. That's my goal. And now to contrast that to, say, for example, Snowball. Snowball wants you to eliminate debt quickly with the minimal risk. So they want to improve your cash flow. They want to reduce your risk as much as possible and then eventually get you debt-free that way. Now, to each their own, right? The Snowball is a great program, but it will not make you the richest fastest. If you use my formula for success, you will actually get richer quicker than you will if you use Snowball or even Avalanche. So I've got kind of a modified Avalanche program, and I'll kind of go into it a little bit. And guys, something else I'm going to tell you is this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. I want to be absolutely clear on that. This is a get-rich slightly faster than some of the other programs out there scheme, right? If you are making $200,000 a year, you're going to get rich fast regardless of whatever you do with your money pretty much, unless you just throw it all away. And if you're making $20,000 a year, you're going to get rich relatively slow regardless of how well you invest. This is just going to help you guide your wealth. It's just going to help you make some good decisions. You're going to get richer slightly faster, slightly better than, for example, a Snowball program or an unmodified Avalanche program. That's all this is. All right, so here it is. And I want to give my brother the credit because he's kind of the inspiration behind this spreadsheet. What I've done here is I've outlined 3 different debt resolution programs. One of them is Snowball, which you can see here. They each start out with identical net worth totals. They each start out with $81,000, and $1,000 of that dollars is expendable income that they have reached each month. So they got $1,000 that they can play with. In the Snowball debt resolution program, of course, he applies that to the student loan, which starts at $5,000, and then he pays about $1,000 off each month, in addition to the minimum payment, of course. Meanwhile, his credit card debt's racking up. Avalanche, to contrast to that, instead applies that $1,000 here on the credit card each month, and he lets the student loan be for the time being, and the mortgage. And then finally, this third program is actually neither of the two, and it's not necessarily something I would counsel, but what this program does is it shows the difference between paying off the lowest size debt, which is the student loan debt, which has a 3% interest rate, and instead this guy takes that $1,000 and plays with it himself in a marketplace. So he goes and takes it in, puts it in a growth fund or a mutual fund, a stock compilation, something like that, and he puts $1,000 there each month, and with a hopeful return of 7%. Which is actually it's pretty safe. So you can see the difference between the different programs. Now they all start out at the same number, which is $81,000. And what I'll show you here is at the end of 3 months, and I can guarantee this goes on ad nauseum. At the end of 3 months, Snowball has achieved a net worth of $87,795. Avalanche has outperformed that by about $40. Right, so you see, Avalanche is a better, faster program than Snowball if net worth is your primary concern. If risk mitigation is your primary concern and cash flow safety is your primary concern, then you'll probably want to go with Snowball. But if you just want to get richer faster and pay off debt as quickly as possible, you want to attack that credit card. You want to get the highest interest rate item knocked off the list as soon as possible. Now, falling kind of in between the two is this one, which outperformed Snowball by, $10. Still, attacking the credit card is going to be a better tactic. Now, my program, what I counsel is kind of a modified Avalanche program. I counsel that you take out the credit card debts first. As a matter of fact, in this case, what I would do, honestly, is I would take this starting safety net, $50,000, and I would take 15 grand of it and immediately wipe out the credit card, because that's just the smartest play. You still have $35,000 to save yourself in case something goes belly up, and meanwhile, you're going to save yourself so much money just by taking this credit card out. But after you take the credit card out, that being the 18% interest rate item, after you take that out, the next best thing to do is to strike out on your own and to start investing in stocks, start investing in real estate, start investing in something that's going to give you a better return than the 3% student loan or even the 5% mortgage. You want to just start getting the highest return that you can. It's even better than a car loan, although what I will say about car loans, again, is that if your goal for paying off a car is to reduce your insurance costs, that's a huge one. So insurance, because you're required to carry either full coverage or at least collision on a car, and insurance is almost always just dead money. If you pay off the car loan, then that's going to be better than investing yourself, because you'll essentially be saving yourself all of that insurance money each month as well. But again, it's how you want to play your finances. Insurance is all about playing it safe, right? It's about losing money for the return of mitigating your risk. Same thing as Snowball. It's the concept. Snowball is very much like an insurance program in that it runs a little bit slower. It's slow and steady wins the race concept. But of course, what you sacrifice is that you will not be financially independent fastest. You won't reach retirement at the earliest age. You'll have to come in a little bit slower than the other situations. So this is the spreadsheet, and kind of take a look at these numbers, guys, and let me know what you think. Understand that you cannot eliminate risk in a financial situation. You can reduce it. You can mitigate it. You can slow it down, but you can't eliminate risk in your life. I walk out the door today, I could get hit by a car. Then all my careful financial planning will have been for naught. But that doesn't mean that I don't try to do it. And guys, remember that, let's say you're using the Snowball program or the Avalanche program. After you become debt-free, both of those programs counsel that you invest. It's not like you're going to avoid the investment if you ever want to actually have financial independence. You're still going to have to invest that money. And when I do, just another item of note is for this investment here, to compare it to paying off the student loan and how it performs better, I've estimated a 7% growth in the stock in the mutual fund, which is very, very conservative. Historically, stocks perform at about 10% year over year. And keep in mind, they have some years that are better, they have some years that are worse. Every now and then, you'll have a really bad year. You'll have a tech bubble pop or housing market crash or, the Great Depression of 1929. Yes, there are years that you're going to do worse. But as long as you're relatively young, you don't really have to worry about that risk. You just keep plugging away and keep doing what you're doing, and that market will recover. I promise you. Now, the disclaimer is if you're 58 and you're going to retire in a year and you've already got $1.2 million, and all you have to do is just not lose it for a year. So for you, I would counsel you take that $1.2 million, put it in a very safe setting, someplace that's liquid where you can get a hold of it, someplace that's not paying a very high interest rate, but it's not risky at all. I would counsel that you play it safe as you get closer and closer to your retirement age. Now, but if you're just starting out, if you're 25, 35, even 45, and you're worried about having an investment, you've got to start making those investments. You've got to start striking out on your own and doing whatever you can to boost your finances as quickly as possible, which is my goal. And then if you have a bad year or you have a mishap, then you have plenty of time for that market to recover. And guys, if you're using a mutual fund, for example, and you're investing in 8, 9, 10, 11 different things, the chances that all of them are going to just go belly up is very, very, very low. It's still a relatively safe investment, but you just may not see the exact same 10% every single year. Some years you might see 5 or 6%. Some years you might see 18, but it's going to average out to about 10. But I put the 7 there to account for the risk factor. So after the risk factor, it's still going to be an average of about 7 or 8% over time historically, as long as you stick to the plan and you just hold those positions. Now, the biggest mistake that you can make is get yourself involved in a situation where you've bought some stock and then you have a bad day in the market and then you panic and then you sell off those positions. That's when you lose. That's when you've taken your risk and realized all of the bad things that can happen in that risk. Don't do that. Just stick to the plan. Make sure that you write the plan down so you know what the plan is. And if you ever have a question, you go back to that piece of paper and be like, oh, that's the plan. All right, great. So I'm going to stick to the plan. Make sure you stick to the plan and you will be just fine. The market will recover. It'll overcompensate, and all the losses that you took that one bad day are going to come back. But make sure you also vary your portfolio. You don't want to put all your eggs in the same basket, because then if the housing market crashes, then you really have a busted basket full of eggs. Guys, please like and subscribe. That's kind of how the math works. That's kind of how my goal for you is to get you as rich as possible, as quick as possible. And yes, you do have to take some risk to do it, but it is still the best thing to do, even with the risk. So you don't be afraid of that. Don't be terrified that just one little piece of risk is going to hurt you in the end. Ultimately, it's going to help you. So guys, like and subscribe. Please leave some comments below if you have any other questions for me. If you've got anything you want me to take a look at in your own personal finances, leave some contact information for me. I would be delighted to hear from you, and I'd be delighted to help you out. I'm not charging, so this is free consultation time. Let me know if you need me for anything. Guys, that's it. We'll see you next time.